Oh, hold on. Are we muted or we're not muted? All right. Hope you guys are doing well. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me or not. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. And then we'll jump into it. All right. So testing, 1, 2, 3, Ruby. This is going to be a quick live stream. I'm answering a question that was put to me by somebody. What's the difference between a contractor and a freelancer? To the uneducated, it may seem to be the same thing, but it's actually not in practicality. So why is this going so quick? Hold on a second. What's going on here? 10 between. We're going to go 15. All right. So let me know in the comments if you can hear me. All right, cool. I'm glad I was able to help out. There we go. That's it. All right. Hola. Hope everybody is well. Yeah. Welcome to the stream. If you can give it a thumbs up, it'd be much appreciated. There we go. If you can give it a thumbs up, I would much appreciate it. It tells the Google algorithm what's going on. I'm just going to give it a couple minutes and let people jump in. So I'm just going to quickly cover the topic at hand. And then what I'll do is we'll do some random stuff. I'll recommend some books and a couple other things. And then we'll do a little bit of Q&A. So welcome everybody to the stream. My name is Steph. If you haven't seen me, I am live here from Montreal. So if you're joining in, please give me a thumbs up so that the Google algorithm knows that this is something you find interesting. Yeah, so I appreciate William. Thanks for that. I'm glad you find the videos useful. Cool. Go long and profit. How are we doing? So I'm going to just wait just a couple more minutes. I want a few more people to jump in. Then I'll jump into the subject. Then we'll do some Q&A and some few other things as well. All right. So how are we doing? All right. So if you can give me some thumbs, I'd appreciate it. Let me know in the comments if you guys can hear me. Ruby. Can you hear me clearly? Let me know in the comments if you can hear me clearly. And then we can take it from there. All right. So I hope you guys are having a good day. Not bad. So I got a good comment on YouTube, and I figured I'd answer. So let me just jump into it since people are kind of slow to join. So what's the difference between a contractor and a freelancer? There is a difference. So the contractor is kind of the hired gun. You'll be brought into a company. It could be small, could be large, and you will be assigned a role. So you might come in, like, for example, last time I did contract work, I was brought in on a project for a publicly traded company. And my job, I was part of a team, and my job was just to do the help file system. That's what all I did, was work on the help file system. Nothing else about the project was my concern, although I did add input, but you had a couple of lead developers who took care of that. People owned the project. So I was just brought in as a hired gun. That's what a contractor does. Contractor does is kind of like an employee, because typically you'd have to go in, you have to work the way they want. They would give you very assigned roles, very specific task. You're essentially an employee, a temporary employee. So there are pros and cons to that. We won't get into it here. So what's a contractor? A contractor is a different beast. A contractor is somebody where you're typically going to be working for a small company, maybe medium size, and you're going to be in charge of the whole thing, really. Typically a freelancer, when you come in as a freelancer, you're going to be handling everything. In fact, a lot of times as a freelancer, the company that will hire you won't exactly know how to implement anything. So it's entirely up to you. Well, not entirely, but you have a lot more control over the project. So when you're a freelancer, you're brought in, you set your hours, you choose a lot of the technologies that are implemented, although the client has to agree to it. And it's up to you to create the structure for the work. Whereas a contractor, you're a hired gun, your position. You're just more or less an employee who gets paid a little bit more and is temporary. I hope that makes sense. So let me fix this thing. Hold on. Set it up to 25 seconds. Just doing a little housekeeping here. Boom. Cross this off. All right. So, all right. Okay. So that's it. That's the difference between a contractor and a freelancer. I hope you understand. If you have any questions about what I just discussed, let me know. Is one better than the other? It depends. Contractors, you may get a gig where you work for a company and they may hire you to do some very specific task, and you may be there for 3 months, 6 months, a year. They may renew you. They may not renew you. You don't get any benefits as a contractor that you would get as an employee, but you typically pay a lot more for your time. When you're an independent developer, whether a contractor, freelancer, or you own a business, you have a lot more freedom, but there's a lot more variability in how your cash flow. You may not get a contract, for 6 months. You may be out of work. Same thing with a freelancer. If you own a SaaS business, it may take you years before it's profitable. But the trade-off is the potential earnings could be limitless as an entrepreneur. You have a lot more freedom. You have a lot more choice. So you have to decide what's easier for you. It's a personality choice, right? Finally, when you are independent, freelancer, contractor, business owner, you have to be much better with money. You have to know how to manage your money more effectively. Otherwise, you're going to get yourself into some trouble, potentially. So there you go. Yeah, that's another good point somebody pointed out. As a freelancer, it's hard to get your first jobs, right? Because you're new. You have to learn the game of freelancing. So being a freelance developer, a coder, you not only have to know how to build things, and most of the time, freelancing is all about web design and development. Most of the time, not all the times, but most of the times. Beyond having to be able to build things, you have to be able to operate effectively as a freelancer. You have to know how to find clients and bid on contracts and manage contracts and clients. All these things are skills. So coding is part of it. If you want to learn how to freelance, you can check out, I have a freelance course you can buy independently, or you can join my mentoring programs, up to you, but it's all there. Let's see. Let me know if the camera rotation, by the way, I got camera A and B. Let me know if that's too slow or too quick for you guys. It's getting on my nerves a little bit. Here we go. Freelance is so hard for beginners. If you start from scratch, you need at least several years to get some stable profit. No guarantee. Some people take several years. Some people, typically from what I've seen, if you know what you're doing, you can get pretty stable within about 2 to 3 years. Pretty stable. I've seen some people do it right away. It depends on your sales skills and your contacts. Other people I know, it takes them much longer. So it really depends on you. But yeah, when you're starting off as a freelancer, you have to understand that it's going to be rocky at first. That's for sure. Well, let me turn this down here. Hold on. There we go. All right. How are we doing here? Yeah, if you just joined the stream, please give a thumbs up so the Google algorithm knows that you appreciate the content. There we go. All right. So there you go. There you go. Freelancing is better. It takes time to get projects. Overall, the best experience I had learning when I was freelancing. I actually pivoted from finance to computer science. So there you go. So you have a bit of a financial background. Yeah. When you're doing your own thing, whether you're freelancing or you're a high-paid contractor or you own a business, that's the ultimate. The rewards are far greater down the road, but you have to have some discipline and patience, How much do you make for a month on YouTube, Uncle Steph? YouTube is not a very significant source of revenue for me. It started off as a hobby, but it does make some money with the ad revenue. I don't get excited about that. I do make some money on sponsorship deals, but it's just really good to get the word out about what I do, whether me mentoring people or working with different schools and so on. So, you YouTube is, it's taken years, it takes years, I learned VBA really well freelance. I did some work for Ontario Power Authority. Very good. VBA. Well, VBA, if you guys don't know, it's Visual Basic for Applications. You're basically writing VB script inside of Excel and Word and other apps. It's Microsoft stuff, but there's a lot out there. Howdy. Welcome to the stream. Hope everything is well. Let me know about the rotations of the camera. If it's not too slow, it's not too fast, we'll take it from there. Can I do freelancing mainly using a framework like Laravel, or should I really jump into WordPress? What you're going to see is that a lot of businesses depend on WordPress, so you might be forced to do WordPress work. Laravel is great for freelancing, by the way. Laravel is great for freelancing because it's a very light and nimble PHP backend framework. What you'll see as you become more established as a freelancer, as you get more skilled, as you get more clients, you will be able to steer and pick and choose what type of projects you want to do. So at first, you may have to do WordPress work just because there's just a lot of WordPress out there. But later on, you can start pivoting and doing more framework-related stuff if you like. That's a good question, though. I recommend Laravel for sure for web app development. If I was doing an MVP, a minimum viable product web app, I would probably do it PHP Laravel. I think it's the easiest in that regard. I go, Steph, PHP developers learn to move to AI OPS. Is this worth really? I don't know. You have to check out the jobs. I don't know what AI OPS is. So you just have to check out the job opportunities, see whether or not it makes sense for you. Remember, one of my rules is that you can't learn a wrong technology. You can't learn a bad technology because let's say you learn, Python, and you learn Python, you're fairly comfortable with it, and then you find there's no jobs in Python because it's all data science and advanced AI. And you can't find freelance jobs, you want to freelance. For you to pivot from Python to Python Web or to Node.js and Express and JavaScript, or to pivot to PHP Laravel would be very easy. So what I would do is I would look up AI OPS, look at the job opportunities in your area. Just do searches, see what's going on, see where the demand is. Also, try it out, see if you like it or not as well. Don't just chase the money. Make sure you enjoy what you do. Greetings from Ukraine, by the way. Hey, very cool. I hope stay safe. Stay safe. How about traveling to your motherland? Oh, yeah, my father's been there, and I actually have family in the Ukraine. I haven't gone back, but I think I'll wait for the war to be over. No offense. But yeah, take care. Take care. My family is originally from Kiev, it's Kiev, yeah, in Ukraine, as opposed to Kiev. Freelancing is very hectic. You have to manage everything from DevOps, Dockers, hosting to development. Yeah, if you're going to be implementing those technologies nonetheless, but you're going to see a lot of freelance jobs are just WordPress, or I got a WordPress site, I want to process some payments with Stripe, set that up for me, So in that case, you're not going to be using DevOps, really, Dockers, that kind of thing. But hosting, it depends. It depends on the job. Yeah. All right. Yeah, appreciate it if you give me some thumbs, guys. If you're just joining in the stream, I'm Uncle Steph, Code Long and Profit. If you can give me a thumbs, it would be good for the Google algorithms because we have 50 people watching, only 26 thumbs. So, is it a good idea to have some money saved to have in between contracting jobs? 100%. 100%. You have to get your FU money. Look on my videos on my YouTube. I have FU money. FU stash. It's very important, very important. You have to have money so you can don't have to worry about getting contracts. Also, what about having 2 or more contracts? Why not? When you're having multiple contracts, and I recommend that you have many contracts going, at least 3 or 4, because what you're going to find is that you get client A, B, C, and D. So you start with client A and you negotiate, blah, 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 and you build out your first version, your quick beta, if you will, or alpha of their job. And then what happens, you're waiting for feedback. You might wait 3, 4 days, 5 days. So that's why you want to have contracts B, C, and D, so you can fill in the gaps at times while you're waiting for your clients to respond to requests, respond for copy, for feedback. You may have to wait for images you may need, or as I said, feedback, etc. So it's good to have multiple contracts going. So how do you manage all these contracts? Well, you make sure at the very onset of the deal that they understand that you're not their employee and you got several contracts, and you say, I'm going to have it done by this date if you're able to respond to me within a reasonable period of time, like 48 hours when I make a request. And that's how you do it. You just flow in and out of different contracts. In this way, at some point though, you're going to be overwhelmed and you're going to need to bring in outside talent to help you out with that as well. Yeah, in terms of having money, you should have at least, as a contractor, at least 6 months of living cash on hand. You should have to not worry about getting a contract for at least 6 months. I would say better a year. This way, you don't have to worry about getting a job for a year. Personally, I used to keep around 2 years worth of cash on hand when I was contracting. This way, I didn't care about getting the contract. When you have a couple years worth of living expenses in cash, just keep it in a high interest savings account so you can access the money anytime you need it. When you have that emergency money there to live off of, this is separate from your long-term investments for retirement and so on. When you have that money, you will feel so calm and relaxed and comfortable because you know you don't need to earn a dime for 2 years. This will allow you to negotiate much more effectively. You'll work much more effectively. So you got to build that up over time, but a minimum 6 months, So that's why when I talk to people about getting into contract work, you got to transition into it. You got to flow into it. By the way, I do have a Discord channel, a server rather, link below. Just check out the Discord. It's pretty active. We got about 3,500 users. So I invite you to join the Discord. Check it out below. It's a pretty good group in there. You might be able to work with other people, learn from them. They sometimes do contracts together and projects. So I invite you to check that out. Hey, Iago Steph, I came back to web development after a year. I'm a bit rusty right now. Laugh out loud. Valerio, I think I said that right. It's normal. Don't worry about it. Yeah, just jump back in, start writing a little bit of code. Geeky girl, I learned PHP from you years ago. Oh, cool. Well, I'm glad I could help a little bit. Are you working in the field now? Let me know what's going on. Are you working now? What are you doing now? Prince Konadu, how do you find open source code to include in your development? I'm not sure what you mean by that. You can find open source projects. Any open source project, you can grab from it and use it. You just have to look at the particular license. When freelancing, you need to know how to sell yourself and not your services. Yeah, it's a big part of it. They're going to judge you based on not, do you know Laravel? No, they're going to judge you based on whether they find that you're competent, trustworthy, easy to get along with. That's going to be the top 3 things that people are going to look for when they're deciding whether or not to hire you as a freelancer. Is it better for freelancing to focus 100% on Java for backend systems or PHP for websites in the time of AI? You're going to find as a freelancer, not contractor, but as a freelancer, you're going to find that a lot of the jobs are PHP and WordPress. A lot of the jobs. So I don't see you going to get too many gigs doing Java backend as a freelancer. Maybe as a contractor, but not as a freelancer. Again, all right. Sales is the most difficult part, both freelance and contract. Yeah, until you establish yourself, Once you establish yourself, then it becomes a lot easier. What I would recommend, you got to get a real good website to make sure you get some reviews as quickly as possible, Google reviews, etc. Beef up your LinkedIn as well. Okay, hold on. How are we doing here? Okay, 20 minutes. Not bad. Small group today. So let me recommend a couple of books. So if you are a total beginner to the game, I got my book on web design. You can get this on Amazon. If you're a total beginner, this is web design. This is HTML, CSS. I touch on JavaScript, but this is for total absolute noobs. If you're a total beginner, and you like lots of colorful photos and stuff. I wrote this several years ago, but I wrote this to be evergreen. So this is my book. People really like it. So that's for total beginners. Now, if you are already a developer, intermediate level developer, and you want to rank up your skills, you want to level up your abilities, then I have links below. This book on refactoring, this is the Java version. There's one for JavaScript, but the skills and the concepts taught in these books are universal across most of the modern languages. So refactoring, improving the design of existing code. So when you understand refactoring and some of the patterns that they teach in here, it's going to make you a better coder in a big way. So a better programmer rather, and coder. So this is what I would recommend. This is the Java version. It's one of the few books I kept from way back when. Links are below. And they got a JavaScript version as well. So refactoring for intermediate level and higher developers. If you don't know what refactoring is and you understand the basics, the foundations of coding, get this. Now, if you want a little training for interpersonal skills, which is going to help you in your business life, whether you're freelancing or contracting or whatnot, then you can check out my training course called Lizard Wizard. Links below. It's on the operating systems of your brain. It's a combination of psychology. It's a combination of psychology, meditation practices, stuff I learned in martial arts and other areas. People find it super useful. So you may want to check that out. Now, here's a book that's really fun to read. And it's actually a very good book. Here it is. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. I think I have a link below for that. That's a great book as well. Again, this is for soft skills training, how to interact with other people. All right, let's get back to some Q&A. All right. Did coding become less fun for you, or do you still enjoy it as much as when you started? I'm just curious if it's possible to do anything for 30 years while getting tired of it. That's a good question. It depends on how much you do. I had to make a choice at one point whether I was going to be a full-time coder developer or whether I was going to build a business. I couldn't do both. I couldn't be deep in the code and then run the business. So I made the decision to pull away from day-to-day coding. I still did architecture for quite a while and so on, but I stopped day-to-day coding. I miss it, and sometimes I still miss it, but it depends on you. I have some friends who've been coding for 30 years and they still do it and they like it. And they're fine with it. They're happy with it. And I have other people who quit. They didn't like it too much. So it's a personal thing. Even if you really like coding a lot, what I highly recommend is you make sure you don't get burnout. You don't push too much, Don't push too much with the coding. That's because if you do too much of anything, it gets boring. All right, that's good. How are we doing here? How are we doing? All right. Yeah, if you don't mind, if you just join the stream, you can give me some thumbs. It would be much appreciated. You know how Google likes those thumbs. Fabrizio Zabalos. I like to work as a back-end developer. What should I learn, Java or Python? Currently, I know TypeScript, and I'm learning Next.js. Well, look around at the jobs. Like a lot of the back-end stuff you're going to see is Java. Like if you just want to do back-end Java web, and you want to work for large corporations, then Java is a better choice for you. Python's a bit of a duct tape language, so for data scientists and so on, AI work. So large corporations, Java, C#, small business, backend, JavaScript, PHP. Don't get me wrong, Python's good. You find Python web jobs, but for every Python web job, there's probably 5,000 Python data analyst jobs and 5,000 AI jobs, if that makes sense. The Pinto Code. Uncle Steph, can you advise, please, which framework are most popular these days, Angular or React? React is most popular, for sure. Mohammed, as a developer, I always wonder, what are we going to do in our 50s and 60s? Well, it depends on you. I have some friends who are still writing code. They're happy to do it in their 50s. It depends on you, you know? How easy is it to study coding and still have a full-time job? I have a lot of people who do that. So in shameless self-promotion, in my mentoring program, it's designed to be self-paced and open-ended. So I have people working full-time and they're still training under me to learn how to code. The key to learning how to code is frequency of exposure as opposed to how much time you put in. So if you put in just like half an hour a day, 4 days a week, you're going to make progress. You know, put an hour a day, 3 days a week, you're going to make progress, right? As opposed to doing once, you know, working 8 hours on Sunday, which is not as good. You're better to do 4 hours, you know, scattered over 4 or 5 days than to do 7 hours on one day. So you take your time, continuously expose yourself to it. Again, shameless self-promotion, but my whole interactive training platform, which I developed, is designed around that. You know, you log in, it tells you when's the last time you logged in, how much time you spent on the course, what your grades are so far. It takes you right back to the chapter and lesson you left off. So the startup time to come back to it is very quick. It's very quick. The problem with coming in and out of courses is that there's this lag time, the startup time to get, okay, where was I? What chapter was I on? That kind of stuff. So my system is designed to mitigate for that. So, but you can do it in general, with or without my materials. Great advice, Uncle Steph. Otherwise, you will look desperate. Yeah, exactly. Now, what Sid is talking about is if you have a lot of money saved up and you don't need the job, you don't need the contract, you're going to look confident. And subconsciously, people's lizard brain, they'll pick up on that. They'll pick up on the fact that you don't need the contract, and that confidence will come through, and that confidence will mean to them you're competent. Confidence equals competence, even though it's not necessarily true. But typically speaking, if you're confident because you're competent, right? Like, you know, when I did a lot of martial arts, I used to fight. I'd go into a fight and I was very confident because I had some skill and I wasn't afraid. I also wasn't afraid to mix it up. Or when I go into contracts and I had 2 years worth of cash, they could smell it. I noticed that when I first built up some FU money, when I didn't need the contract for like 6 months a year. I had 6 months worth of cash a year or more. I remember going to contracts, this is back in the early 90s, and I just discovered it by accident. I said, all of a sudden I started landing all these contracts because I came in, I was super chill, super relaxed. I didn't need the job. They didn't smell the desperation. So they figured I was competent. Again, confidence equals competence, you know, as far as people is concerned. And so I started getting all kinds of jobs. And not only that, I was able to negotiate from a position of power. And because I was able to negotiate from a position of power, I was able to start making a lot more money because I wasn't desperate. I said, this is my price. Well, I don't know. No, that's my price. Sorry. I don't, you know, that's all. I'm willing to work only for this amount. You know, it's a good price. I'm going to do great work for you, but that's I gotta pay the bills. And typically people, if they're serious, they'll respect you on that, and you start landing more. So yeah, build up that FU money. It has a huge advantages that you wouldn't think otherwise. How are we doing here? 75. If you couldn't go for freelance, work as a new dev, what else would you do? Here in Germany, it is a bit unnerving because of the rules and data protection stuff. Not good if you get your client in trouble. Well, one of the things I talk about in my freelance training is that you got to have very solid agreements, contracts between you and your client before you start doing any work. So this way, what does that mean? That means once you've completed a project and they sign off on it, you're not responsible anymore. And that should be indicated in the contract. Now, I don't know the laws of Germany, but this works very well in North America. How can we find contracting jobs as a PHP developer? Which platform is right for us purposes? Just try them out. I've heard people, they success on Upwork, success on this, and Indeed. Everybody's different. Word of mouth, local contracts would also be useful to you as well. So you got to try it out. Get your LinkedIn profile built up. A big part about being a professional in any field, and development is no exception, is presenting yourself as a professional, not just in person. Don't show up with, in your pajamas to a meeting. Show up dressed professionally. And your professional persona online should be, tight as well. So online, you should have a nice, well-formed LinkedIn profile. You have a nice website that looks good, looks professional. Your social media trail should be, it should be clean, Something I talk about, I've been talking about for years, reputation. Your reputation is very important. Protect your reputation. Guard your reputation. It's so valuable. If you have a great reputation with solid skill sets, even if you lost all your money, you could recover very quickly because you got that reputation, you got the skill sets, and people will want to work with you. Supratik Ghosh. Hey, I've been learning React for some time, but I can't sit for a long time like people who just sit for hours. I also teach and have other stuff to do along with it. So do I need to get up? I recommend when you're doing anything, you get up at least once an hour, stretch, do some push-ups. Is this good for your health, physically and mentally? Breaks up the monotony. Or maybe if you sit for 2 hours, go walk for half an hour, or do some exercise or something. So I recommend you get up as a matter of habit. Can we have an e-commerce website, in WordPress and Dynamics 365 Business Central as a headless CMS? Because most of the companies have their ERP running that has all the inventory and product data. Can we have e-commerce with WordPress? Well, I wouldn't use WordPress to build an e-commerce system. I would use WordPress because you want to publish multiple pages of articles. You want to do articling, If you need to put up a store, I'm not somebody who would use WordPress unless there's some WordPress theme out there that's really good in that regard, where they have plugins and capabilities that allow you to implement e-commerce easily. For me, that project you're talking about here, Mohammed, that to me is more of a, again, without looking at the details, that to me is more of a Laravel project than a WordPress project. How do you get a remote job in the USA as a freelancer from a different part of the world? Make sure, Tech by Usman, make sure your English is really good. You seem to write fairly well. Make sure you have a strong reputation online, as I just discussed. LinkedIn, a nice website. Maybe do some Upwork work. You can look at other videos where I go into detail. That's how you do it. What do you think about crypto and blockchain gigs? Well, if they're there, I'll take. I used to do any gig. So I'll tell you. So when I first started freelancing, I would do ASP Classic, and I did Pro CGI, and then when ASP came in, then I started doing a lot of Java work. I did a lot of Java, and I did some C#.NET when that came out. Now, for me, when I first started out, I used to think of myself, I'm a Java developer. Until one day, I got a contract with a company who had already invested in some PHP So they had a PHP-based web app, and they wanted to expand its capability. And I didn't like PHP. I was a Java zealot, and I had my own Java framework, so I wanted to use Java. But they insisted that it had to be PHP because they didn't want to have part of their stack in PHP and part of their stack in Java. And that's understandable. So kicking and screaming, I took the job and did it. I learned PHP in a few days and I did the job. So even though this is really bad, old, dirty PHP back in the day, it was PHP 3, I think it was. And it was pretty crappy PHP. PHP 8 today is a full enterprise language. It's very capable, but PHP 3, not so much. But it had its advantages in some respect. I remember writing the code in PHP, and I had to do, like I couldn't do a lot of stuff that I would do in Java. For instance, there was no good error trapping in the time, no try-catch, right, in the PHP at the time. Just die statements. But anyway, it was good in certain respects, you know. And I was able to bang out the project pretty quickly, and I just wrote very simple, clean code, you know, stuck to the refactoring principles, and it worked fantastic, you know, ran for years and years. Now, what was the point of that? Yeah, so I found that after that experience, I didn't really care what technology I would leverage to build the project for people. And I would work with these rare, weird stacks that some stuff doesn't exist anymore because it made sense for the project. So later on, as I became more mature as a developer, I would walk into a client and I would review the project. I would look at all the parameters of the project. I would look at their current technology investment, what they had already, and I would build accordingly. And that's it. Sometimes it would be Java, sometimes it would be .NET, sometimes it would be PHP, sometimes it would be Python, sometimes, you know, all over the place. And then Visual Fox Pro, classic ASP, you know, sometimes, you know, who knows? So what do I think about blockchain? If the money is there and you don't mind the work and you like it and you can make money, then jump in, you know. Yes, I've used to work as a PHP developer, but I'm not doing any work right now as I had a spine injury a few years ago and still taking treatment. Oh, take care of yourself, geeky girl. Yeah. That's where freelancing comes in. One of the reasons I went freelancing is because I had some serious health issues and I needed that flexibility that freelance gave me. And that was the prime reason I went freelance, to be honest with you, because it was hard for me to be consistent 5 days a week. So you take care of that spine. Do some stretching, eat well, believe it or not, drink lots of water, that will help. But I'm sure you're getting that advice. Old Dreamweaver days in PHP. Oh, wow. That's old school. If you guys don't know, Dreamweaver is a WYSIWYG web design and somewhat limited development. I guess you call it an IDE. It's a WYSIWYG tool. So they integrated some PHP backend capabilities with something called Drumbeat, if I recall. How are we doing here? All right. Hello, Steph. I'm considering starting a SaaS business as a solo developer, attracted by its potential for freedom and scalability in time and finances. What are your thoughts on building a SaaS? All right. Well, SaaS development is cool. I've had a couple. Maybe, I think 3. I forget what the third one is. But anyway, I've had a few. I have one now. Studioweb.com is my SaaS, my educational platform that I developed, and it's used by a whole bunch of schools for over a decade now. Yeah, SaaS is owning a SaaS. SaaS is short for software as a service for people who don't know. Owning a SaaS is potentially the most lucrative, the most scalable, but it's also the hardest to get going unless you catch the tiger by the tail really easy. But yeah, if you could transition into it, transition into your SaaS. Don't quit your day job and start the SaaS and assume you're going to get business right. Take your time, transition, get out your MVP, your minimum viable product for your SaaS as quickly and as dirtily as possible. Just get it out quick. The code doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to get out and work just to see what people think about the product itself. So yeah, go for it, man. The younger you decide to jump into a business, the better off you are because you have time to fail and to start again. What about advanced? I'm not sure what that is. What's your favorite principle? Solid, KISS, something third, fourth. KISS probably. If I had to pick one, KISS is keep it simple, stupid. That's the key. You can make even a procedural built system pretty clean if you just keep your code base simple. Don't get too cute. What do you think about Clojure? I never use it, so I don't have a hard opinion on it. What is it said that JS? Why is it said that JS is not real programming language if it's pretty sophisticated, fast, and useful? Well, technically, JavaScript is not a programming language. Technically, it is a scripting language. The difference between a scripting language and a programming language it's not really important, to be honest with you. But the difference is that a scripting language works within the confines of another app. So you need an app to run your JavaScript code. That makes it a scripting language. Whereas C++ and C, you don't need that. It compiles into its own exe, its own app. It's independent of another runtime. But you know what? Java, it compiles, but it still compiles down to intermediate code. And it still needs to run within the confines of the JVM, which is an application. So technically, you could argue that Java is a scripting language as well, because even though it compiles, it still compiles down to a lower level language, and it still needs the Java virtual machine, which is an application, to run. So scripting languages, that's the difference. Does it make a difference in terms of work and in terms of the complexity of the work, in terms of the sophistication, in terms of the pay, the money that you make? No. It's a distinction without a difference these days, so who cares? Somebody says to you that, you say, I don't care. Some of the most, we'll look at PHP, another scripting language. Technically, PHP, same thing. It's not a programming language, it's a scripting language, technically. But Facebook was created with PHP. Enough said. Stefan, how to catch the motivation to do something long term? Sergey, good question. Well, I always recommend you try to find something that you enjoy. In terms of the actual work, what you can do is you can learn to create associations, positive associations with whatever behavior you want to motivate. This is, if you have knowledge of psychology of your lizard brain, the lizard brain works like an associative array. So let's say you want to motivate yourself to write Python code. Be sure when you're sitting down to write Python code that you're in a good mood. Maybe, I don't know, if you like listening to particular songs, put on some music just to get yourself hyped. What you want to do is you want to start creating more associations with good mood with Python, good mood with Python, good mood with Python. What will happen sooner than later, what will happen eventually when you sit down to write Python code, your brain will go, I am always in a good mood when I write Python, so it'll start putting you in a good mood. Because whether you're motivated or not, this is just chemicals in your brain. That's it. If you want to learn more about that, look at links below. Check out Lizard Wizard. It's my course that will teach you how to motivate yourself. jQuery 2024, I still use it. Why not? Yeah, a lot of people use it, not actively, but a lot of times it's used, I always like to think of the 100-year-old that ran a full marathon that I wouldn't be able to achieve at 30. If you're healthy, you'll be able to code for a long time. Well, yeah, one of the things I talk about a lot now is being healthy, eating healthy, natural foods, super important, doing daily exercises, drinking lots of water. I'm telling you, your mental capabilities, your cognitive capacity will only increase if your body is healthy. Healthy body, healthy mind, healthy mind, healthy body. So you don't neglect your health by eating garbage food, chips and hot dogs and processed foods and too much alcohol, any alcohol really. Trust me, it will pay off big time, not only just in terms of your ability to think, but you feel much better, you feel much less anxiety. You'll pick up too. I want to start a software company, but I have no experience as a freelancer developer, only some job experience in software maintenance. Yet, Sajid, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. The easiest business to start is the freelance business. That will help you to learn how to manage clients, how to manage money, how to write basic contracts. That's a good first business to get into, freelancing. So you may want to start there and take it from there. I have courses on all of that if you want to look into it. Everything that I teach, by the way, is based on personal experience, years and years and decades of personal experience. So if you see anything I teach, anything I talk about, I did it for real. I don't talk about stuff I didn't do. Good morning from Japan. What's the word? I'm trying to say, is it ojimasu? I don't know. All right. Well, thanks for joining the stream. Domo arigato. Do you need the info tech degree or the experience is more valued? It depends where you work. Mr. Lunch Grilled. It depends on where you want to work. If you want to freelance, it's more about experience. That's for sure. Confidence goes a long way. FU money makes that possible. 100% JC. Hey, how are you, Mr. Botha? Are you from South Africa? Let me know. I remember there's a pretty famous boxer from South Africa years ago. I forget his first name, but his last name was Botha. Is contracting and freelancing easier for senior developers? I would think so. Because when you have some experience and you're a senior, you come in with that gravitas of experience, but you could also do it as a junior as well. You don't need to be an experienced developer to get into contracting. With all the layoffs going on in the US, is it still worth getting to CS degree and pursuing tech? Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you get a degree, is because you want to work for a large corporation. Number one. Number two, make sure you don't go into debt. Student loan debt is evil debt. So don't go into student loan debt if that's necessary. If you want to freelance, you don't need a degree. It's pretty much useless. There's some layoffs now, and there'll probably be more layoffs later after the election. But that's just temporary. This is normal. It happened in the 90s. It happened in 2000, mid-2000s, 2008, 2010. It happens. Don't worry about it. Life is hard. Yeah, life can be hard, but it's how you look at it, man. How you look at it. If you're not sick, you're able. You live in good times now. You're able to get on the web, watch videos. Life is a lot easier now than it was 50, 100 years ago. That's for sure. So if you're not sick and you're free, you're way ahead of most people in the history of humanity. How old were you when you started freelance contracting? About 22, 21, something like that. When should you start hiring others for your freelance business? When you can't keep up with the work. All right. Thanks for the BenQ screen recommendation. I absolutely love it, although the screen speaker is terrible, same as yours. Yes, the screen speaker is not the best on that, but everything else is really cool about it. So it's good. It's good. Yeah, I like it a lot. It's it's good on the eyes, Pretty cool. All right, hold on. Oh, we got ourselves a super. Hey, thanks for the super chat. Coffee super chat. It's good. Is contracting freelance Is contracting freelance easier for senior devs? Okay, so, all right, cool. I appreciate that. Thanks, man. Probably you need to be a U.S. citizen in order to get a remote job for a U.S.-based company. Not necessarily. U.S. companies hire non-U.S. citizens all the time. It's to such an extent, it was political at some point. So it was crap PHP. Okay, I see myself out. So I was cray PHP. Okay, I'll see myself out. What? Yeah, it was, if you're talking about my story, Namanja, it was PHP 3.0. It was really old, crappy PHP. Today, PHP is very, very capable. It's a totally different game. But even back then, it was still very useful. It worked. All right, guys. Ooh, 50 minutes. Time flies. Okay, I'll answer a few more questions. I'm going to head out. Steven, what do you think about work in defense industry? Well, it's probably a pretty solid industry right now. If you want, we'll look at it not from a moral point of view. We'll look at it from a financial point of view. It's probably a pretty solid industry to get into. That's for sure. Hold on. Oh, wrong way. There we go. Facebook does use hack right to compile. Yeah, apparently they compile it now. But, Facebook is super rare. It's like, I wouldn't be worried about, well, we get this done. I wouldn't be worried about performance of any software you build now. Facebook is a rare exception. Is working in maintenance industry hard to keep working there? I'm not sure what you mean. What do you mean in maintenance industry? Difference lies where you lie sadly. Different lies where you live sadly. Difference lies where you live sadly. Difference lies where you live sadly. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay. Hi, Mr. Boss. Can you write hello world in assembly? I never written assembly. So I'm not an assembly developer. That's a whole game I've never touched. I just graduated with a computer science degree and wondering if I should gain 9 to 6 experience before diving into building SaaS. To me, 9 to 5 job feels like I'd be trading time for money. Well, if you don't need the money, just build your SaaS. You don't need a job. You don't need a job. I don't think Steve Jobs ever had a job. I don't think Zuckerberg ever took a job. I think they went straight out of school into building their businesses. So go for it. I'm 28 years old and I have a bachelor's degree in communication engineering. I have just started learning AI. However, I'm worried that I started too late in learning AI. What are you crazy? AI is brand new. It's totally new, man. AI is just starting. Don't worry about it. You got plenty of time. I'm off to bed. Been aggravated by SOE who does not care making noise at night. Oh boy. SOB, I imagine you mean. Well, good luck, Emmanuel. I don't know how you feel. Yep, South Africa. Yeah, very cool. All right, guys. 50 minutes. I was only planning on doing half an hour, but thanks for joining the stream. If you have any other questions, you can post below this video. And you can join my Discord free, link below. If you want to learn about how your brain works, you want to learn how to motivate yourself, check out Lizard Wizard, amongst other things. And I do have my mentoring program as well at unclesteph.com. All right. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for joining. Don't be shy with the thumbs up, All right. Cool. I'll leave you with my Cape Elizabeth, Maine ASMR video.